Africa, classified in the list of the 50 lowest GDPs in the world. This all began way back, since the beginning of mankind. During the 18th century came a moment that marked history of Africa, when millions of people who lived in Africa were sold as slaves by a king Waida and Tekepesu, who made £250,000 yearly selling people to other countries. After this event, a slave trade was created between Africa and Middle East, which converted them into pearl divers in Persia, soldiers in the Omani army, or other many jobs. People who have lived in the African continent since long time ago have never been seen as people worthy of human rights, because of ideologies that dictated such thing due to skin color, race, or descendants, such as what happened when Europe took over Africans and converted them into chattel slave, which means a piece of property with no rights, and began expanding the slave business all around the world until they got to the point where even slaves had their own slaves. Another thing that was very common at the time was that citizens, especially from America, categorized them for jobs such as farming, housework, or other, and were sold that way. The history of the African continent has led to most of the countries to many types of disadvantages, such as economical, technological, but especially legal rights, and this is because of the citizens' ignorance. The government takes advantage of their ignorance and does not offer them basic human rights that the Declaration of Human Rights has established, such as the right of being born free and equal, which means that if they stay in the shadow of ignorance, their rights will never be respected. In one of the highest ranked places of countries with no freedom, Somalia is found. About half of its population lives out under $1 a day, and all this happens because they are governed by loyalty clans who have no interest in their well-being, and they have few to no laws that protect human rights, especially for young girls who suffer from female genital mutilation at a very young age. Another country in the African continent who suffers of a lot of lack of human rights is Democratic Republic of the Congo, because even though they have the potential of becoming a very rich country because of their vast natural resources, they have not known how to exploit their economy due to instability starting from their own citizens' human rights.
Africa is the main role in this problem, but a clear example will be the country of Kenya, because this year, on September, Kenya's Supreme Court invalidated the 2017 elections. The elections were damaged by Kenyan security forces that made human rights violations, who used excessive force to break up protests that were in position of strongholds in Nairobi and Western Kenya. More than 12 people were unfairly killed by the police of Kisumu and Siaya. 5 years have passed and Kenya's authorities still do not investigate about the rank of abuses across the country and the basic rights of expression and association.
Without human rights, we wouldn't know how to treat each other and how to treat ourselves. We will be such a horrible society. But right now, this is what is happening in Africa. People are not respecting the human rights that have been established a long time ago by the UN. The right to privacy, to be equal, to not have slavery are the main human rights that are being violated in this country.
A lot of organizations that provide legal and social help to poor communities are based in academic institutions around Africa. They explore and make movements to promote the human rights. They investigate the origins, political context, and challenges of the violations made. They academically help and create researches for social and economic injustice. Some of the most known NGOs in Africa are Art for Humanity, creates awareness by making singers, writers, and poets spread internationally the violation of the right of education. Lawyers for Human Rights provide people with needs lawyers so they can help them stand up for their rights. Center for Human Rights, University of Pretoria, is an organization that focuses on human rights and help by raising awareness of the broken rights. IGOs are concerned about the violated rights in this continent, so that is why they, as an international organization, declare instruments and decide human rights issues. They are mostly composed of member states or of other intergovernmental organizations such as African Union, defend Africa's positions when issues of interest to the continent and its people occur. Council of Europe. Help deciding what human rights are being abused and promote internationally rights that should be applied.
Attempt to solve it. Africa. The United Nations continue to work to strengthen the African continent through the Millennium Development Goals. That includes from reducing extreme poverty to stopping the spread of AIDS and ensuring access to primary education. Progress has been made by achieving many of these goals, particularly those related to education, gender equality, and the empowerment of women, and the fight against HIV, AIDS, and other diseases. Coordination support has been provided through an interdepartmental task group dedicated to African businesses and the Regional Coordination Mechanism for Africa, which goal is to strengthen the collaboration and drive clear and safe actions. The United Nations continue to support efforts to make the African peace and security structure operational, to implement the human rights strategy for Africa. The African Union has created a plan, Agenda 2063, that started in 2013, looking for socio-economic transformation of the continent for over the next 50 years. The Agenda 2063 has on plans such as the Lagos Plan of Action, the Abuja Treaty, the Minimum Integration Program, the Program for Infrastructural Development in Africa (PIDA), the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program (CAADP), the New Partnership for Africa's Development (MEPAD), regional plans and programs and national plans, all in search for better quality of life in the African continent.
Africa is one of the continents with the most human rights being violated on a daily basis due to its history and lack of knowledge. As we know, education is the key for success according to the UIS. Unfortunately, in Africa, almost the 60% between 15 and 17 years old aren't able to attend to school, and by this, the 17th article is being violated because it dictates that everyone should have the right to education. But when seeing this issue in a short term, probably it wouldn't affect them. But on a long term, this will bring poverty to the society as it has done for many years, because the children will not have the basis to be able to be accepted in a stable job. There are organizations that are working on fighting this issue, such as UNICEF, that has collected about $50 million, which means that 3.6 million of children will be able to assist to school in a near future. After making many research around 29 different countries such as Somalia, Congo, Egypt, and Guinea, was found that there was more than 70% prevalence of female genital mutilation, in which most of them has prohibited. So, a well-known gynecologist found a hospital called Pansy in Kivu, located in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He states that more than 42,000 women and young girls have been attended for severe torture and raped. The 23 article established by the Assembly of Chiefs of State and Government of the Organization of the African Unity that is being violated because they have the right to peace and national and international security, began an intervention months ago in Mali to try to stop this, and it has only caused people to disappear, captured, to torture, or even have died in Bamako, the capital of Mali.